Welcome to a RMSO Roundtable Drive. We are on our way to pretty much the Deadwood area. We're going to be in Lowman, directly south of Deadwood. That's where our base camp's going to be, and we're going to be hitting a few places out here, Bigfoot sighting locations. You guys have saw probably a half a dozen Bigfoot expeditions to this area because of all the Bigfoot sightings. But we're north of the Sun Valley area, on our way into Stanley, and then over to Lowman. You got the Salmon River in this area, and there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings in and around that area. A lot of road crossings.
It's more deer.
Yeah, we chose Lowman as a base camp because we've done Deadwood so many times, and we actually wanted to be closer to the Grand Jean area. We're about 10 minutes away from Grand Jean, and that's the most recent Bigfoot sighting that's been reported to us there. But anyway, well, there's still enough ambient light for this IR camera to pick up. We thought we would do a little bit of a roundtable drive so you guys can see a little bit of this Bigfoot sighting hotspot as we get into our base camp. Excuse me, more deer, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're all over. Definitely got to pay attention or we're going to end up taking one out. They're going to take us out.
Do you remember that night that we come into Deadwood this way, and we almost hit those foxes that were sitting in the middle of the road? There was like a family of foxes sitting right on the yellow line.
I remember herd of elk. I don't remember no foxes.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Yeah, we damn near took them out.
Definitely not something you see every day.
There was like 3 or 4 foxes sitting right on the yellow line, and yeah, well, we didn't hit them, so.
More deer. Keep an eye on the right and the left. You'll actually catch them. A little eye shine or something.
And we have the entire core crew with us today.
First time in a long time.
If you can see all of our pictures on our website, we got Brody, Jenny, Derek, and me, it's Kelly. Brody does a lot of Bigfooting in Colorado with Dustin the Rock Hound. He was on one of our podcasts. I'll have to throw that podcast in the description of this video. You guys can hit that link. And we heard a vocalization on one of Dustin's rock hounding videos. He's in Colorado rock hounding, and something vocalized scared the crap out of his dog and freaked him out. And it reminds us of some vocalizations that we have heard on some of our Bigfoot expeditions. Actually, not too far from here, on the Idaho-Montana border, where the bombing incident happened, we got the same type of vocalization there, just like a T-Rex type roar. You know how you would imagine a Jurassic Park T-Rex going off. And then another time down in Sasquatch Canyon at a place we call the 77 sighting location. We were crossing the river right there and got a roar. So we heard that on Dustin's dill and got a hold of him. It was like, hey, wow, dude, we've heard that twice before. And so we had him on a podcast to talk about it. And then after that, we told Brody, he's like, Brody, you need to go out in his area with him. So Brody's gone out with him a few times. Where we heard that vocalization at the bombing location, it's not very far from the North Fork Salmon River. So that's just another incidence of this, you know, sightings happen along the salmon.
Pretty much about straight west of us. What, maybe 80 miles?
Mm-hmm. Well, back in the day when Lewis and Clark came through, these canyons that follow this river were just chock full of grizzly bears. As a matter of fact, a lot of routes they took was up on the mountainside. They tried to get away from the shores of the river to avoid the thick parts of the grizzlies. Well, if the grizzly bears are interested in the shores of the river, there must be a food source, you know, for animals that large. So it makes sense why there's these Bigfoot sightings near this river. Yeah, we've done a lot of Bigfoot expeditions to the North Fork salmon. The salmon, and then the Bitterroot. Actually, our last Bigfoot expedition into this area was just barely across the border on the East Fork Bitterroot. Derek, Jenny, and I. Yeah, we went on that one, visited the Bauman location, and then we actually went back on the Chief Joseph Trail. We went back on that side to some lakes over there because a truck driver had a Bigfoot sighting over there.
Had a 7-foot stick chucked in my truck, driving down the damn road, and it ended up going through the spokes of my tire, my wheel, my truck. Not sure how that happened, but it went in about 2.5, 3 feet.
We tried to check that out on our dash cam, and that SD card was corrupt.
Yep, that sucks too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a one in 1,000 chance. I mean, I've actually on this dash cam, I've only ever had one go. No, two now go corrupt,
Two go bad.
and that was one of them. Yeah.
Lost a lot of footage on that.
Yep, would have been cool to see how that speared into your rim like it did. It was like 3 or 4 feet into your rim.
Yeah, it went in there quite a ways. Snapped up. Known it because it smacked the side of my truck.
Oh, I
after
know.
it broke.
It tripped me out. I thought we were going to have a big old dent when we got out.
Did we ever tell you about that, bro?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were only going maybe 5-10 miles an hour. And I mean, it wasn't a real thick road. It was a dirt road. But I mean, there's just no way a stick. I wouldn't have missed it. I would have saw it. I mean, it's my truck, for hell's sake.
That was a beat up. That was a beat up dirt road.
It came out of nowhere, like somebody had chucked the stick, and it just happened to go right straight through the rim of these rims on my truck. And it just snapped. We were going low enough that, you know, the stick was still on the inside of it. I wish we would have got that footage though, because I mean that.
Well, we still have the SD card, so if we ever figure out how to recover it.
Yeah, so far I've actually tried, but
Was there any wind that day, or?
no wind, no nothing.
It was actually a pretty warm. It was probably the warmest day of the expedition.
Yep, it was
We
actually.
had the windows rolled down.
Yeah, we chose. It had gotten so warm, we chose to go into those lakes behind the Chief Joseph Pass that day because, you know, get out there by the lake. It's hot.
It hit the side of the truck so hard that parts of the branch and stick blew in at me on the side of through the window.
I think it was west of Indian Paint Reservoir.
We were going to some lake.
Yeah, Indian Paint Reservoir is one of the lakes that we visited back there.
Yeah. I mean, but it was in that area, but it was a little small lake that we took a little offshoot up to.
Yeah, we never did make it to that lake.
Never did make it to the lake.
Oh, that's because they had the gate closed.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, they had that lake. Yeah.
It was closed off.
That was the first week of June. A lot of stuff don't open up if there's too much snow or mud. Or they haven't fixed a washout.
Wasn't it?
What's up?
That was one of our April.
No, it was
April.
the first week of June. Yeah, I don't go to Montana before June.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
You're probably right.
You ain't getting in anywhere in April in Montana.
Just over a year ago that happened.
It was just, yeah, like 13 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last time we were in this area.
That's a beautiful area. I wish we could have made it all the way up there, but
I actually believe. Oh no, we didn't. We come back the Boise way. That's right. Yeah, we're getting in here. We're getting close to the river of no return. Chalice Forest. So many Bigfoot sightings on the edges of the river of no return.
It's not the road.
that's a deer.
Yep. Deadwood, the ghost town that we use as a base camp in Deadwood, Idaho. It sits right next, it borders the river of no return, and there's a rancher in there that keeps wanting us RMSO to go on a horseback ride in the river of no return.
You
That
have to
last-
take him up on it.
The last couple of times we stayed there, he hit us up about it. You guys need to come horseback riding with me. I know, I like the idea of horseback riding. I mean, that worked for Patterson Gimlin.
It's actually an outfitter, isn't it? It's an outfitter group.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he has this one horse that's will jump the fence. Yeah, he is a mule. He's it's funny. It is comical. The first time we saw him, he was on our side of the fence, wasn't in with like the other 30 horses or whatever. And Jenny turned around and told the outfitter, she's like, one of your horses got out. And he's like, he smiled funny and he's like, no, he's not. And we flipped back around and he's inside the corral. So while we had our backs turned to him, he jumped the fence. And then the owner was like, yeah, he saw me coming. He's not supposed to be out. So he saw me coming and jumped. And our backs happened to be to him. So Jenny turned around and we started getting this crazy voice like he was just right here.
I swear, I'm not lying. It was outside the fence.
And it's leaping like a 6-foot tall fence too. But yeah, that would be fun to expedition on horseback. See if it gives you different results. Whatever happened for Patterson Gimlin, I think all the stars and planets lined up that day for them. I mean, gotta be kidding me.
Hit the lotto.
But you think about it, a horse sounds like a natural animal of the forest that maybe a Bigfoot may not be concerned about coming up if it hears them. And then the smell of the horse may mask, our smells.
It's a shame it's dark. It's a real pretty area that we could be showing off.
We'll be showing
pretty.
off some of it during the day.
It still is pretty cool looking, though.
Honestly, though, our best chance of road crossing is at this time of day.
Yep.
I mean, all the deer are out in the road because the animals are moving right now.
We've got a lot going past us.
Hope you guys enjoy our form of a podcast. We prefer to talk about our Bigfoot adventures while we're out on the road Bigfooting. Just north of here, on the river of no return, near the Chalice area, we did a podcast with a guy that saw a Bigfoot from his tree stand while he was out hunting. because we're in the area and that's pretty close to where we're going to be Bigfooting. I'll put his podcasts and our on location sighting report. We're pretty close to where his Bigfoot sighting happened. I'll put the link to that in the description. Whoa, there's just deer everywhere. It's so thick. Isn't Smiley over the top of this pass? It's such a beautiful valley. I love this area. We're going to come back through this area on a day during the day when at the end of our expedition, and if we still have one more video in us, we'll show you guys this area in the daylight.
Oh, we'll have another video in us. It's going to happen.
Whoa.
That came straight off of a pretty steep. I mean, that's almost cliff.
I know, it's amazing the stuff that they
where
jump
it come
off
down.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice thing about doing one of these types of podcasts is when we want to just kick back and relax, you guys can take in the scenery.
Helps get bored.
Got your brights on?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Got my spotlights buried in the back. I should have it sitting right up here.
We're at 7,500 feet right now.
And it's 55 degrees. Is that an app on your phone? Oh no, it's on your watch.
You just look all the time what the elevation is. It's spiffy.
Nice to know. That way you know if you need to bring Oxy Boost.
Yeah, Brody doesn't need oxygen.
I've been with Brody when he's gotten altitude sickness. Last time we went and Bigfooted in Yellowstone Canyon, Utah. Do you remember you getting altitude sickness that day, Brody?
No.
Yeah, Jenny and I is taking it easy, and Brody's like running up this mountain and running down that one, running up this mountain.
Bailey.
No, it was when you took us Yellowstone Canyon.
Okay.
You had all the symptoms of altitude sickness when we come off the mountain. That's 10,500 feet where Brody was like just doing circles around Jenny and I.
Yeah, he did like 5 hikes and we did 1. That was the day.
We'll be over here.
Yeah, we'll be slowly coming over here. Yeah.
I actually finished off a bottle of oxygen on that trip. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, a nurse had a talk with me about hiking at high elevations and exerting myself and how it's bad for your organs, especially your heart. And she suggested that we get portable oxygen for those types of hikes at those high altitudes.
This guy wants to go faster than I want to go.
Yeah.
He can take the deer out, not me.
Yeah. We've had enough in the road that...
Yeah, he's an idiot. You were saying?
I was just giving Oxy Boost a spot. I'm just kidding. They're not a sponsor. We actually pay them for their product. And it's helpful. Altitude sickness is... You get a really bad headache, and it can actually be deadly if extreme. It also dehydrates you.
I think that was me that day. I don't think that was...
No, it was Brody.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was
It was
me.
Brody.
I had I was a horrible headache.
No, I just no Brody.
I was fine.
No, I remember because that was going through my head. Oh my gosh, everybody's had altitude sickness except for Brody, and he's finally got it.
Nope.
No, it wasn't him. It was me.
Oh, I think you had it too.
He is a mountain goat.
Kelly, like,
Brody don't want to admit he had altitude sickness. I know he did.
Kelly's telling a Kelly story.
No.
Oh yes.
I am gonna go back and look at the dash cam footage because I know we talked about it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know I've had it a couple of times. I haven't had it when I've been using oxygen though.
Yeah, I got a really bad headache and then I got dizzy. And then my eyes went blacked out.
Nah, you didn't have that day. You were just fine that day.
Or maybe it was you that had it.
Yeah.
That's why this is
He
all
was
going
stumbling
on.
around in the dark.
He's delusional.
The thing that you guys forget about these expeditions is we film them, and then I sit down and putting our videos together during the editing process. I watch them 3 or 4 more times, and so I've gone over that memory several times. So a lot of times on these expeditions, I remember, you know, Brody, I think, had altitude sickness. He got really sick on the once we got back to the car.
Either way.
I'm just saying, not everybody's immune to elevation sickness. You got to be careful and pace yourself at high elevations. And the best cure for altitude sickness is to drop 2,000 feet in elevation. That's one of the best things you can do if it sets in. Because once you have it, if you don't get yourself recovered from it, within 24 to 48 hours, you can get water on the brain and water on the lungs, and that turns it deadly. And so the best remedy is to drop 2,000 feet. And of course, if you have oxygen and you want to hydrate.
That's where those elk were last time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. As soon as the trees hit on both sides of the road, then that's where the elk came down.
It was. That was the time I came.
Mm-hmm.
Whole herd of them.
Yeah, right about
Right in the road.
I know when we did that Bigfoot hike in Bailey, Colorado, the air was thin. We started our hike at like 11,000 feet there, didn't we?
I remember what the elevation was.
I just remember everything in that part of Colorado is high.
Yeah.
It's because it's Colorado, man. They legalized that shit.
I love the Bigfoot Museum in Bailey.
That place was fun.
Yeah, that guy's got a neat place.
I liked the mountain we were on.
Yeah, Brody took us to an awesome place to hike.
That was a pretty interesting hike that day.
Yeah, we found a lot of stuff.
We found some footprints and some structures, and
Hoof in the tree.
that was weird.
Hoof in the tree.
Oh, yeah.
There was a leg and a hoof of like an elk or a deer that was wedged up in a tree.
Yeah.
So basically, a cat killing it and drug it up.
I was,
Stuffed it up
for
in a
whatever
tree.
reason, it was there.
No, the tree was too little for that. The tree was a little quakey. So it was like something was like just gnawing on a leg and walked by and just stuck at the tree. I mean, it was just about 6 feet off the ground. And it was in a little teeny, about 4 inches around aspen tree.
4 inches around?
Well, you know, like it was a
Yeah,
little,
yeah.
It was a little guy. Maybe 6.
We were hiking in a spot that there's 5 Bigfoot sighting reports just on the BFRO website alone. But yeah, I'll include that expedition video in the description down below, so you guys can see that hike we went on there. Found a lot of neat stuff.
And weird.
Sticks in the ground that were like laying in like in glyphs and
Yeah.
stuff.
That was weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were purposely put there by a person or something.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what the glyph meant.
It was a Bigfoot. It's a known fact.
Hey, there was a lot of structures and stuff going on back there
Yeah,
too.
there was.
There was some strange vocals that day, too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Vocals?
Vocalizations.
Like, some whoops, grunts and stuff like that.
Hmm. I know there was one section there where we found some really nice Bigfoot tracks that we measured.
Yeah.
We get grunted at a lot.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, last weekend we got grunted at up on Indian Ridge.
Yeah, I did.
But you know, there's so many animals that will grunt. You know, a moose will do it. A bear will do it. So when you hear that grunt, you don't know what you're dealing with. Oh, maybe it was an irritation grunt. Actually, the last game camera that I serviced, moose walked by on the game camera and then grunted just as it got out of frame. That's why a moose was the first thing that popped into my mind. The last thing I saw grunting was a moose. Of course, it was off frame, so maybe it walked off frame and the Bigfoot grunted. Exactly. Yep, we're following the salmon right now. Just take Dustin back there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some action there, so.
Just take me, damn it.
Yeah, we need to get you out to Colorado. There's a lot of neat Bigfootings. I love Bigfooting on the Grand Mesa. That place is so cool. And we've just scratched the surface. There's supposedly like 300 lakes on that mesa.
Or you can come out to like Pikes Peak area. There's a few good areas out there.
Yeah.
A lot of good area.
Yeah, Brody lives right in the middle of Bigfoot Central.
Maybe we can hit an early fall.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
It's so pretty out there when all the leaves start to change.
Yeah, and
It's amazing.
You know, I think we've had the most action for Bigfoot style stuff going on is in the
It's a little one.
is in the fall.
Like there was a little deer. Yeah, it was just a little one. There was one in front of him too, actually. Just barely got the glimpse of this first one.
It's like he didn't know which way he wanted to go.
Yeah, he chose right. It's my favoriteest time too. Things are cooling down and
Less
honestly,
mud.
just so much activity.
Well, the resources, all the
fall.
berries and nuts are in season, and then of course, if you're in areas where the fish are running, just so many food resources. I think that's why we get the most action in the fall, is because there is resources. Brings them down into the valley. Oh, one of the things that's bringing us out here on this Bigfoot expedition is I want to visit the place that my dad and Uncle Doyle had their Bigfoot sighting. One of the places we're going to visit on this Bigfoot expedition is the Stanley Lake area, Redfish Lake area. My dad and uncle backpacking back in there had a Bigfoot walk through their camp. They were really roughing it. They were just tossing a tarp on the ground and sleeping on their sleeping bags next to their fire pit.
I'm not sure what that was. I do not think it was rubber. It was a dark black. I got roadkill. We're in the middle of the road.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
But anyway, it walked right through the middle of their camp, scared the crap out of both of them, and so Brody, Jenny, Derek, and I, we're gonna go hiking behind Redfish Lake on the remote far side of the lake. We're gonna hike around there and see what we can find on this expedition, and then we're also gonna hike around Stanley Lake, and we'll probably check out the Grand Jean area of the Sawtooths, because that's the latest Bigfoot sighting report that we got is from the Grand Jean area. Oh, and then I don't know if you guys remember, I think Derek read it, because I think they submitted it on our website, but 10 miles from Deadwood,
A couple more. Those are pronghorns. 3 of them. That is an elk.
that's elk.
And deer. Look at that.
Pronghorn.
Oh my
Pronghorn.
Pronghorn.
actually.
That's 3 different types of game right there hanging out.
So weird.
10 miles from Deadwood a couple of winters
That's
ago.
another elk.
Whoa.
That's a big old. Yeah, that
Big
looked
one.
like a male the way it was standing.
A guy fur trapping in January found Bigfoot tracks in the snow back there. And he saw some of our Deadwood videos, so he got a hold of us and is like, I just found Bigfoot tracks back here in the snow. It wasn't this last winter, but the winter before. Oh, you remember reading that, Derek?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, if you guys submit your stuff on the website, it goes straight to Derek. So that's awesome. We've had 4 Bigfoot sighting reports and a footprint report come out of this general area directly to us, and you know, that's just directly to us. That's not to mention other Bigfoot groups like the BFRO getting their sighting reports from this area. Yeah, Hat Creek Road, River of No Return, Deadwood, Grand Jean, Stanley.
And as you can tell, this place is cramped, full of wildlife.
There just isn't enough for a large primate to survive on.
That's a known fact.
Mm-hmm. if that thing's eating the same thing as the deer and the elk, and then it's also eating the deer and the elk when it has an opportunity, yeah, I think I could get 8 feet tall if I ate like that. Jenny and I visited old Ephraim's grave a couple of weeks ago. That's the largest bear ever to be killed in Utah. And I want to know how it sizes up to all the known bears harvested or recorded in the United States. 9 feet 11 inches tall. One more inch and old Ephraim would have been 10 feet tall. Grizzly bear. Smithsonian has his skull on display. The guy that killed it, he trapped and killed it, had to shoot it to finish it off. The reason he come after it is it was killing ranchers' cattle and sheep, and it even went on a one-night killing spree where it killed 15 sheep in one night. But they sent the skull to the Smithsonian to have it tested. What is this? And it came back as grizzly bear, and it's like, well, that's got to be the biggest grizzly bear ever. And I started researching online, and I haven't found a recording of a grizzly bear that stands taller than 9 feet 11 inches. So that's our hometown. That's where we're from. That's our backyard where old Ephraim was killed. What, 1,100 pounds? 1,200 pounds, something. He was huge.
Over 1,000 pounds.
From what I understand, they said that the Smithsonian sent the skull back to the Aggies. What is that?
Like Utah State?
Utah State. It's supposedly on display at the old library there. They sent it back about 6 years ago, and so I could be up in the night. Maybe the Smithsonian has it back, but it was on display in Utah for a while.
Well, that's cool.
So I just laugh when people say there's just not enough resources for an 8 foot tall primate, and it's like, well, a 9 foot 11 inch bear was doing just fine in that area. So God, that's
massive.
well, they talk about the biggest male polar bears being 9 feet tall, and this thing's almost a foot taller than some of these biggest polar bears.
Yeah, they had a big rock monument that stood as tall as the bear was, and it was huge. I mean, when you stand by that thing.
I stood next to it, and I only come halfway up it.
Yeah.
Yep, and that 9 foot tall Bigfoot everybody sees around that area. He's eating the same damn thing old Ephraim did. Yeah, that's not too far away from where the Bigfoot crossed the highway. The Finding Bigfoot crew, on one of their episodes, they did an investigation in the area. Bobo walked across the road where the plow truck driver watched it cross over by Franklin Basin.
Tony's Grove.
Yeah, just a couple miles from Tony's Grove. Yep, not too far from Ephraim's grave. You're looking down on top of all that. Yeah, they buried old Ephraim not too far from where they took him out.
Should have stuffed that bad boy.
That guy was on horseback, and he came all the way over from Malad, Idaho.
On horseback?
I'd imagine it was
Malad? I can see that. But still, that is a... Sorry, dude.
what was it, like 1924? I imagine that he wasn't in a car back there. That's some crazy stuff. Oh, Jenny and I haven't posted our video of going back there yet. That's a mean off-road, dirt road, crazy stuff back there. Ephraim's grave wasn't our destination. Jenny and I were Bigfooting back there because of all the sightings around there. And we stumbled upon his grave for the second time in our lives. The first time we stumbled upon his grave back there, we weren't doing YouTube videos yet. We were just running around with the camera, hoping to get lucky and see a Bigfoot. And it was before we got serious about sharing our search with the public. You know, after we did it several years seriously, we're like, you know, why don't we share this with the public, and maybe some enthusiasts will like what we do. So we like taking you guys along while we search. Yeah, we started at Hardware Ranch. Where did we go? We went up the Left Fork because we have a juvenile Bigfoot sighting there by the Left Fork River. A guy and his girlfriend had a juvenile Bigfoot sighting that scared the crap out of him. You know, they're saying it couldn't have been more than 4 feet tall, but you know, it's still, you know, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, and you see something like that, it scares the crap out of you. It's a monster that's not supposed to be true coming to life, you know.
I would have to say it's almost scarier to come across something like that, because if you're looking at a juvenile or a young'un,
there might be a
mom or dad's around somewhere, so
Yeah.
you get between them and it, that's when you end up disappearing.
Yep, that's where we started our little expedition, going back into there, and then we decided just to head in a little bit deeper and more remote. Next thing you know, we're on top of the mountain, and it's leading us over towards the Tony Grove area in the Franklin Basin, and we stumbled upon old Ephraim's grave, and I just love seeing stuff like that, you know, a famous recorded incident of an omnivore that's 10 feet tall practically. And then, you know, I just have to put that in perspective. All the people that say that there's not the food resources for an 8-foot tall primate, I get a kick out of it.
Do not run. That's a good girl.
He was hunched down like he was going to spring forward.
Yeah, I was nervous about it. That's why I hit the brakes as much. I'm doing 10 under. In fact, I'm 15 under the speed limit, and I'm still nervous. I don't want to go any faster.
I don't blame you. Jenny and I saw a guy hit a moose one night, and he spun it. We were on a 2-lane highway, and he hit it in this lane, same lane we're in, and spun it into our lane. And my Jeep at the time, that moose had to have weighed more than my Jeep. I think Jenny and I would have been in sad shape if we'd hit it. But this guy was in a big Ford F-350. He also had a big old brush guard. And I don't want to go in detail about the moose, but the moose did not survive. And it completely dented the guy's hood in where the head whipped down on his hood. But yeah, I thought the guy had lost his load. I thought it was a big old root ball and, you know, a massive log laying in the road, and, you know, slamming on the brakes, swerved to miss, and then realized what happened. And that guy pulled over, and top of his truck's all messed up. That was sad. That was a buzzkill for that that weekend because it was the beginning of the weekend, and I just thought about that poor moose the whole weekend.
Just want to point out them dual reflectors that we keep seeing. This kind of gives you an idea how deep the snow gets up here. That's what that would be for. That's taller than the truck.
But because moose are so tall,
I know,
they sometimes come right into the windshield, kill the occupant. So I'm always sketchy where there's game. I always drive under the speed limit at night. It's gotten dark enough that you guys really can't see much on this camera anymore. So I'm gonna end this. You guys got to kind of see a little bit of this area and a ton of game. I mean, it's just crawling with game. But we're gonna end this roundtable drive, and if we do see anything cool cross the road between here and our base camp, I'll put it at the end of this video.